Today we'll do something cool because I want to show you how to shade metal objects. In other words, how you can express material in your drawing. In this case, how you can create that the object is made of metal. Like everything is not actually as difficult as you may initially think if you know a few small tricks how to do it. And today I want to show you these tricks so you can achieve professional results very quickly. For those who don't know me, my name is Yuri. And as my dear friend once told me, I'm the biggest cliche in the world because I had a very successful corporate career that I left so I can create my YouTube channel and teach art to you. So let's go to it. If you would like to work alongside me in this step-by-step tutorial, or you would like to do this exercise later after watching this episode, I have prepared a model for you which you can download and print and draw into, which is super cool. I will leave the link to it in the description below. This study will also look amazing in your sketchbook if you have one. I've done this before, as you can see on the screen. If you're looking for maybe some sketchbook inspiration, you can also follow me on my Instagram account where I post my sketchbook pages on a regular basis. I will also leave a link to it in the description below. So firstly, I need to explain some key principles and then I will show you step by step how to draw and shade metal objects. To show you this, I've taken a detailed picture of a still life with a metal object in it, which in this case is a metal cup. First thing, which is technically not a trick, is to know how to shade the object itself without expressing materiality. Don't worry, I will show you how to shade a cup, but you need to know the principles of shading in general, especially if you're drawing another object. The trick number one is that the metal objects have strong reflections. As you can see here, this object reflects itself onto the metal cup, as well as this pyramid reflects itself onto the metal cup. So when shading a metal object, we need to consider reflections. The second trick is to use sharp contrast when shading. So sharp contrast is that we have an area of total blackness or total darkness next to an area of total lightness, which is totally white. We need to create sharp contrast. Look at this, it goes from white to black to grey to black to grey to dark grey and white again. There is no smoothness, there is very hard transition. By putting black next to white, that is how you create contrast. Lastly, there needs to be minimum of gradual shading. The shading is basically aerial. I have shaded the object in areas. Basically, there is no gradual shading. It is not continuous. There is no smoothness, which you would do if you were drawing a cylinder without expressing material of the object. There is one more trick towards the end. Normally, I would explain it now, but it will be easy to understand it after watching the individual steps, because it is closely linked to how I explain the shading of the metal objects, especially in the last few steps. If you want to find out what it is, it's worth staying until the very end. I have done the underdrawing, which once again you can download from my website, and I will be using two pencils, which are HB and 6B to do this. I'm a huge promoter of the HB and 6B pencil grade combination, especially for beginners. And today I will prove to you that it is all you need in order to achieve great results. The first thing I'm going to do is to take the softer pencil 6B and I will start creating what we call a sensitive line, which is a line sensitive to the light. I'm going to highlight some of the lines in order to give the object volume before we even start shading. In other words, you can shade or create 3D effect by using a sensitive line. So here we know that this will be an area of the greatest darkness, so we can press a little bit harder onto the pencil. And then gradually release the pressure by pressing less onto the pencil as we approach the area of the greatest lightness. Notice that the 6B pencil is very sharp. It is always key when you're shading to have your pencils well sharpened. Because we've already have the underdrawing, what I'm doing here is highlighting the line where there will be the darkest areas. Here you can see by using sharp and softer pencil, you can already give your object a form. For the step number 2, take the HB pencil, and under the perfect light conditions, since this is a cylinder-like object, we know that in this third there will be the darkest area, and in that third there will be the lightest area. Inside of the cup it will be the other way around, the darkest area is here, and the lightest is there. Obviously we can adjust this according to the model. You can see here what the model actually looks like. So I'm going to take the HB pencil and I will gently mark the areas of the greatest darkness. You can look at the model or you can use your intuition. I'm actually using both. When drawing, you need to use both your knowledge and your eyes by looking at your model. Notice also that in this case my outlines are vertical lines except the lines of the reflected objects. Here I'm actually marking the reflected object. Once we finish with the outlines, we can start shading the darkest area first. I'm working slowly and gently using the pencil HB, and you can shade under the 45-degree angle or vertically or in different directions depending on your shading skills. I will be working in all the directions. The next step is to shade the area of the medium shade or medium grey. Again, I'm working with the HB pencil and slowly blending the shades. You can see that I'm working on the 45-degree angle and I'm doing a longer strokes which go over to the darkest areas. The medium grey areas will cover the majority of my drawing. There is no need to press too hard. Work very slowly, little by little. Remember that you need to shade the cup using the principles of how to shade a cylinder first, so the object slowly gets its form. We finished this first layer and let's do the second layer. I'm using the pencil HB, but this time I will be pressing a little bit harder. It is quite important to learn to work in layers because it will give your drawing more realistic look, which is what everyone wants, but not many people are willing to do the work. So hopefully since you're watching this, I will tell you the ugly truth. There are no shortcuts when it comes to shading. You basically have to do the work in order for your drawing to look good. I'm giving you the shortcut by explaining the principles as well as showing you step by step what needs to be done, but then the artworks will not draw themselves, so you actually need to put in the work. Shading is all about practice and taking your time. If you do those things, the results will 100% come. So I have deepened both semi-dark and the darkest areas. Once we shaded the whole thing, we can start adding details like reflections on the top of the cup. So now would be a good time to look at the model and try to find some details that would make it look more realistic. You can deepen some of the shades or add reflection like what I'm doing here. If you have found any value so far in this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up. Now is the perfect time to do it. It really helps my channel, which means I can give you more value content in the future. Okay, the next step is to take the softer pencil 6B and we're going to do another layer. I will start in the areas of the darkest shade and then move on to the other areas. Once again, if you want to achieve the realistic look, then working in layers is absolutely key. This is a much softer pencil, so it creates darkness more easily. Notice here that I've created the contrast with no gradual shading, but also you can shade some areas in the gradual, continuous way because it will make the object look more real. So it doesn't have to be hard lines or hard areas next to each other all the time. It is good to mix it up and break the two tricks I told you about in the beginning in order to make it more realistic. I'm going to work with the 6B pencil carefully on my whole drawing. When using a softer pencil, there is always the danger that you will make your drawing too dark, so work slowly and gently, little by little. Once again, not everything needs to be shaded in the area way. It is good to have some gradual shading in your drawing, but you will have to experiment with this a little bit to see what works and what doesn't. There's one more thing I want to show you, and that is notice these white large areas. It is what we wanted because, as I said in the beginning, it is good to create contrast, but it doesn't look very realistic. It creates holes in our drawings. So it is good to put a little bit of shades in them. Don't be afraid to shade them a little bit. This can be quite random, so you don't have to overthink this. Okay, so this is how you shade metal objects, but don't go anywhere because I want to show you one more trick how to make your drawing a little bit more realistic. I've already mentioned this a few times before. You can also see this better on the drawing on the left. But the last trick is that the shaded transitions that created contrast should not be hard lines. You should make them a little bit uneven or rough or asymmetrical. You can do this easily by applying horizontal layer on the top of the existing layers using the softer pencil. Doing this will definitely make your drawing look better. So this is basically how you can shade metal objects. By the way, if you want to learn everything you need to know about shading, I have done a free masterclass on shading. You can grab it for free on my website, teachingofart.com/shading. If you want to learn more about shading, if you want to achieve professional results very quickly, I would highly recommend watching this masterclass. You can find it in the link below. Otherwise, today we have learned 4 cool tricks how you can shade metal objects. So hopefully if you enjoy this, please give it a like, or you can always leave a nice comment below. If there is a topic that you would like me to cover in the future, you can also leave that in the comments below. And I can't wait to see you next time. Bye for now.